Welcome to your deep dive on AI. We've got a ton to cover today, from new models to open source projects, hardware stuff, and even some chatter from Reddit and Discord. You really sent us a great mix of sources this time, so
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how fast things are moving.
definitely. I mean, you've got these heavy hitters like xAI dropping Grok 3, trained on what, 200,000 NVIDIA H100 GPUs. It's crazy.
It's topping all the benchmarks, right?
Yeah.
For math, science, coding,
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's only like 10% better than DeepSeek R1.
which used way less compute, like a fraction.
Exactly. 100 times less.
Mhm.
So what does that tell us about this AI arms race? For someone trying to keep up, what's the takeaway there?
Well, it seems like maybe we're hitting this point of diminishing returns. Just throwing more hardware at the problem isn't getting us those huge leaps in performance anymore.
The smarter algorithms are more important than just raw computing power.
Exactly. And that could be good news for, smaller companies, individual developers.
Not just the giants with their massive data centers.
Right. And it kind of ties into this other trend we're seeing. Open source AI. DeepSeek AI, the ones behind DeepSeek R1, they're planning to open source 5 repositories in 1 week.
Wow, that's a statement for sure.
They're calling them the building blocks for AI services. So basically, foundational code anyone can use to build their own AI applications.
Is that a shot at companies like OpenAI, who've been pretty secretive so far?
It's definitely a different approach, right? More about open collaboration.
So anyone could potentially access and build upon this cutting-edge AI.
Exactly. Imagine the innovation that could spark.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
What are some of the things DeepSeek is planning to open source? You've got 5 repositories highlighted here.
Well, 2 that really stand out. One focuses on data preprocessing and augmentation, which is essential for training any AI model. And then there's one for building custom AI assistants,
So you could build your own AI assistant.
tailored to your specific needs.
That would be incredible.
And it's not just DeepSeek either. Meta's got their ML Gym, an open source platform for all sorts of AI research. Hugging Face is expanding their datasets and models like crazy. They even have this no-code tool now, Gradio Sketch, for building AI apps.
So even someone with limited coding experience could potentially build their own AI.
It's becoming more and more accessible.
Okay, so we've got these models becoming more efficient, open source initiatives popping up everywhere. But what about the hardware that makes all this possible?
Right, well, the hardware scene is changing too. GPU prices are dropping, which is huge.
Hyperbolic is offering H100s for what, 99 cents an hour?
Yeah, that kind of affordability opens up a lot of doors.
So it's not just for these big research labs anymore.
Exactly. And there are some cool new solutions emerging. NVIDIA DGX is getting popular for building AI infrastructure.
Specifically designed for machine learning.
Yep. And then you've got Tenstorrent. They're working on energy-efficient AI chips, claiming big performance gains while using less power.
So it's not just about cramming in more and more GPUs.
It's about efficiency, finding new ways to process all this data.
Which brings us to AI research itself. It seems like researchers are moving beyond just pattern recognition, right?
Absolutely. The focus is shifting to giving AI genuine reasoning abilities.
Okay, you mentioned Logic RL, chain of thought prompting, and GRPO. Break those down for us.
Well, these are all different ways to teach AI to think more like humans. Logic RL combines logic with reinforcement learning, so it's like teaching an AI to follow rules, but also adapt to new situations.
So it's learning and adapting, not just blindly following instruction.
Right. Then there's chain of thought prompting, which teaches AI to break down complex problems into smaller steps.
That sounds very human-like. We do that all the time.
Exactly. And GRPO, guided reasoning with pseudo-observation, is helping AI solve puzzles and mazes.
That require planning and spatial reasoning.
Exactly. Which, is pretty amazing. But it also raises questions about whether this is true reasoning or just a clever trick.
Right. Some people are saying it's not real intelligence, just AI brute forcing its way through these problems.
It's a big debate. What do you think? Are we seeing true AI reasoning here?
I'm leaning towards, yeah, maybe there's something more going on. Like we're seeing a new kind of intelligence emerge, one that's different from our own, but still remarkable.
It's definitely challenging our assumptions about what's possible with AI.
And speaking of possibilities, how about we shift gears and talk about how all this research is making its way into the real world? You've got some notes here about OpenAI's operator, LangChain, and even household robots, which is pretty wild.
Yeah, the gap between research and real-world applications is definitely shrinking.
Okay, so operator, it's supposed to automate these complex tasks, but it's still in limited release, right?
Yeah, and that's causing some frustration, especially in Europe where it's not widely available yet.
And the pricing is a bit controversial too, I heard.
There's definitely debate about that, but people are excited about its potential.
To streamline workflows and free up human time for more important things.
Exactly. And then you have LangChain, which is this framework for building AI-powered applications.
And it's being adopted super fast. You've got LinkedIn, Uber, all these big companies using it.
Its strength is connecting large language models to other data sources and tools. So you're not just relying on a generic language model.
You're building a more specialized AI that can access all sorts of information.
Right, which makes it really versatile.
Okay, so we've got Operator automating tasks, LangChain powering custom AI applications, and then there are these household robots.
Yeah, companies like Figure are building robots that can supposedly do things around the house, like cleaning and putting away groceries.
But I've seen some skepticism online. How autonomous are these robots really? Are they just being remote controlled?
A lot of the demos rely on teleoperation, yeah. But the goal is to make them more autonomous over time.
As AI and robotics improve.
Right. We can expect to see robots that can learn and adapt with less human intervention.
So maybe not Rosie the robot just yet, but we're getting closer.
Definitely. Which raises questions about the future of work, right?
Yeah.
What happens to the people who traditionally do those jobs?
Yeah, that's a big one. It seems like with every AI advancement, there are these societal impacts we need to think about.
Absolutely. It's not about replacing humans, but about finding ways for humans and AI to work together.
Okay, before we go too deep into that, I have to ask about this voice cloning technology. It's just mind-blowing how realistic it's becoming.
Right. That voice changer developed by Crandiash, it's incredible.
You can literally type in any text and have it spoken in someone else's voice.
Yeah.
It's amazing, but also a little scary. What are the implications of that?
Well, there's the potential for good, like personalized entertainment or preserving voices, but also for bad, like creating deep fakes or impersonating people.
So how do we even regulate something like that?
That's a tough question. Some experts want stricter regulations, like requiring consent for voice cloning or developing ways to detect deepfakes.
It's almost like we need a whole new set of rules for the digital age. And speaking of things that are changing the game, ChatGPT is now at over 400 million weekly active users.
It's become a phenomenon. People are using it for everything.
Writing, coding, learning languages, it's crazy. But are there other AI tools or platforms out there that people should be paying attention to?
Definitely. Midjourney is a big one. It's an AI platform for creating visual art from text prompts.
So you can literally type in what you want to see and it creates it.
Pretty much. And then there's Runway, which has all these AI tools for video editing and visual effects.
Wow, it's like AI is giving everyone access to a Hollywood studio.
And that's just the beginning. I think we're going to see even more creative applications of AI in the future, blurring the lines between art and technology.
It really feels like we're living in the future. But with all this potential comes responsibility, right? We've talked about the ethical implications of voice cloning, but what about the bigger societal impacts of AI? Like job displacement, for example.
Right. As AI gets better at doing things humans used to do, we need to be thinking about how to adapt.
It's not about humans versus machines. It's about finding ways for them to work together effectively.
Exactly. And that means investing in retraining programs, promoting STEM education, creating a more equitable AI ecosystem.
So we need to adapt our education and workforce development to prepare for this AI-driven future.
We can't just cling to the old ways. And I think that's where a lot of the anxiety comes from, you know? People are uncertain about what this all means for their lives.
It's understandable.
Okay.
But AI is ultimately a human creation. We have the power to shape its development.
To ensure it benefits humanity as a whole.
Okay, let's tap into the online AI communities for a bit. What are people talking about out there?
Well, DeepSeek's open source announcement is causing a stir. Some people are thrilled about it, others are worried about the potential risks.
Like misuse of the technology or the quality of open source tools compared to commercial ones.
Right, and LangChain's complexity is a big talking point. Some developers love it, others find it too difficult to use.
And the debate about true AI reasoning continues to rage on.
It's fascinating to see these ideas evolving in real time.
It's like we're all collectively trying to make sense of this new era.
Exactly, and it's just the beginning.
We've covered a lot in this first part of our deep dive: models, open source projects, hardware, research, even the societal and ethical implications. But there's one more layer we need to explore.
The philosophical layer. The big questions that AI raises about consciousness, intelligence, the nature of reality itself.
That's where we're headed next. Stay with us.
Welcome back. So, we've laid the groundwork. looked at the building blocks of AI. Now let's see how it's actually being used, shaping the world around us.
Yeah, I'm ready to see how this all comes together in practice.
Yeah.
Before the break, we were talking about OpenAI's Operator and LangChain, two tools that are making some serious waves. Operator is still in limited release, but there's already a lot of buzz around it, right?
Oh, definitely. People are really excited about its potential, especially for automating those complicated tasks and workflows. But the limited availability is causing some frustration, especially for users in Europe. They're feeling left out.
And I've heard some grumbling about the pricing, too, for both individuals and teams.
Yeah, the pricing structure is definitely a point of contention. People are comparing it to other AI tools and trying to figure out if it's worth the cost.
I guess that makes sense. Cost is a big factor for anyone considering a new tool, especially in AI where things are moving so fast.
Absolutely. But a lot of people see the potential, the ability to streamline those complex tasks and free up time for more strategic work. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out as Operator becomes more widely available.
So potential is there, but there are some hurdles to overcome. What about LangChain? We touched on it briefly, but I'm curious to dive a little deeper. It seems like it's being adopted at lightning speed by some pretty big players.
It's true. LangChain is spreading like wildfire. You've got companies like LinkedIn, Uber, Klarna, Replit, all using it now. And its strength is in connecting those large language models to other sources of data, other tools.
So it's creating a more versatile, more powerful AI solution.
Exactly. Not just a generic language model, but something that can really tap into a wide range of information.
I've been following some of the developer discussions on Discord, and there seems to be a mix of praise and criticism for LangChain. What are some of the drawbacks people are pointing out?
Well, the biggest complaint is complexity. LangChain is powerful, but it's not exactly plug and play. There's a steep learning curve.
So it's a bit like trying to tame a wild horse.
hmm
Incredible potential, but it takes skill and patience to harness it effectively.
That's a great analogy. And despite the challenges, the fact that these big companies are adopting it so quickly suggests it's a valuable tool, even if it has its quirks.
Speaking of powerful tools, we're seeing some incredible advancements in protein research, all thanks to AI. It seems like this is an area where AI is really making a tangible difference.
Oh, absolutely. AI is accelerating drug discovery, helping analyze protein structures, even designing new proteins with specific properties. Microsoft in particular is doing some groundbreaking work in this area.
So we're talking about potentially developing new drugs and therapies much faster, targeting specific proteins instead of years of trial and error in a lab.
Exactly. Imagine a future where AI helps us create personalized medicine tailored to your unique genetic makeup, or treatments for diseases that are currently considered incurable. The potential is mind-blowing.
It's like something out of science fiction, but it's happening right now. AI is revolutionizing healthcare as we speak.
And speaking of things that used to seem like science fiction, what about these household robots? Are we really at the point where they're going to be doing our chores for us?
Well, maybe not all our chores, but we're getting there. The Figure robot, developed by the Helix AI team, it's designed to handle various tasks around the house. We've seen demos of it cleaning up spills, putting away groceries.
But how much of that is genuine AI and how much is a human controlling it remotely? I've seen some skepticism online about how autonomous these robots really are.
It's true, a lot of the current demos rely heavily on teleoperation. But the goal is to make them more and more autonomous. As AI and robotics technology advance, we should see robots that can actually learn and adapt to their environment, do things with minimal human intervention. So maybe not Rosie the robot from the Jetsons just yet, but it's on the horizon. It makes me wonder, though, about the future of work. If robots are doing our chores, what happens to the people who traditionally held those jobs?
That's a crucial question, and it's one we need to address head-on. As AI and automation technologies become more sophisticated, we have to focus on retraining, upskilling the workforce so they can adapt to the changing job market.
So it's not about replacing human workers, but about finding ways for humans and machines to work together effectively.
Exactly. Augmenting human capabilities, freeing up people to do more creative, more meaningful work.
Okay, that makes sense. Finding that balance, that collaboration between human and machine intelligence. Now, before we go too far down that rabbit hole, I want to circle back to one of the most fascinating and potentially disruptive applications we've talked about, voice cloning technology.
It really is incredible how far this technology has come. The voice changer developed by Crandiash, it can create these incredibly realistic voice clones using some advanced style transfer techniques.
Yeah, I've played around with some of these voice cloning tools online, And it's mind-blowing how convincing they can be. You can literally type in anything and have it spoken in someone else's voice. But it also raises some serious ethical red flags. I mean, what are the implications of this technology, both positive and negative?
You're hitting the nail on the head. There's huge potential for good, Personalized entertainment, interactive storytelling, maybe even preserving the voices of loved ones who have passed away. But the potential for abuse is undeniable. Creating deepfakes for malicious purposes, impersonating someone without their consent, it's a real concern.
It's like we're entering this world where you can't even trust your own ears. So what are the safeguards? Can we even regulate something like this?
It's a complex challenge, and honestly, there's no easy answer. There are ongoing discussions about ethical guidelines, stricter regulations, maybe even requiring consent for voice cloning or developing methods to detect deepfakes. It's going to take a collaborative effort. Technologists, policymakers, society as a whole, we all need to be part of the solution.
It's almost like we need a whole new set of rules for this digital age, where reality itself can be manipulated so easily. It's fascinating, but also a little unsettling. Now, while we're on the topic of things that are both fascinating and unsettling, I can't ignore the elephant in the room. ChatGPT. You mentioned it earlier, over 400 million weekly active users, including 2 million business users. It's become a global phenomenon.
It really has. It's a testament to the power of accessible AI. People are using ChatGPT for everything. Writing, coding, learning languages. It's like the Swiss Army knife of AI tools.
Everyone seems to be finding a use for it. But with all the focus on ChatGPT, what about other AI tools and platforms? What else should people be keeping an eye on?
Well, besides the ones we've already talked about, Midjourney is definitely worth checking out. It's an AI-powered platform for creating visual art. You type in some text prompts and it generates these amazing images.
So like you describe what you want to see and AI creates it for you.
Exactly. It's democratizing creativity, making it accessible to everyone. And then there's Runway, which has a whole suite of AI tools for video editing, motion graphics, visual effects.
It's like AI is putting a Hollywood studio in everyone's hands.
And we're just scratching the surface. I think we'll see even more creative applications of AI in the near future, pushing the boundaries of what's possible in art and technology.
It's incredible to think about, but with all this incredible potential, we also have to consider the responsibility that comes with it. We've discussed the ethical implications of voice cloning, but what about the broader societal impacts of AI? Job displacement, for example, is a major concern for a lot of people.
Absolutely. As AI becomes more capable of performing tasks that were traditionally done by humans, we have to think about the potential impact on the workforce and find ways to mitigate any negative consequences. It's not about humans versus machines. It's about finding that synergy, that collaboration.
So how do we ensure that the benefits of AI are shared broadly, not just concentrated among a select few? How do we prevent AI from exacerbating existing inequalities?
That's a critical question, and it's one that demands our attention. It requires a collaborative effort from governments, businesses, educational institutions, investing in retraining and upskilling programs, promoting STEM education, creating a more equitable AI ecosystem. We need to make sure everyone has the opportunity to benefit from these advancements, not just a privileged few.
It sounds like we need a fundamental shift in our approach to education and workforce development. We can't just hold on to the old ways of doing things. We need to adapt, evolve.
Exactly. And I think that's where a lot of the anxiety comes from, right? People are uncertain about what this means for their future, their livelihoods. It's understandable.
But AI is ultimately a tool.
Yeah.
A powerful tool, yes, but still a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad. We have a responsibility to shape its development, to guide it in a direction that benefits humanity as a whole.
To make sure it's aligned with our values, our aspirations for a better future.
Okay, let's tap into the online AI communities for a moment. What are some of the hot topics being debated in those spaces? What's capturing people's attention?
Well, DeepSeek's open source announcement is definitely generating a lot of buzz, both positive and negative. Some people are excited about the possibilities it opens up, the potential for democratizing AI development, but others are wary of the risks. What if this technology falls into the wrong hands? What about the quality and reliability of open source tools compared to their commercial counterparts?
It sounds like the open source movement in AI is at a crossroads. Lots of potential, but also some valid concerns that need to be addressed.
Definitely. And then there's the whole debate about LangChain's complexity. Some developers love its flexibility and power, but others find it overwhelming, too difficult to learn and use. They're calling for more user-friendly tools.
I guess it's a trade-off, right?
Yeah.
Power versus ease of use.
Yeah.
A classic dilemma in software development.
Exactly. And of course, the debate about true AI reasoning continues to rage on. People are sharing their thoughts and interpretations of the latest research, trying to make sense of what it all means. Are we witnessing the emergence of genuine intelligence, or is it just a clever illusion?
It's like we're all collectively trying to wrap our heads around this new reality, this new era, where the lines between human and machine intelligence are becoming increasingly blurred.
And the online communities are a great place to engage in those discussions, to share ideas and perspectives.
Absolutely. They're like a global think tank, a melting pot of ideas.
Oh,
I've also seen some interesting discussions about what people are calling AI productivity per unit of human input. What are your thoughts on that concept?
it's a fascinating idea, isn't it? It suggests that we shouldn't just be measuring AI progress by its computational power or how well it performs on benchmarks. We should also consider how effectively it collaborates with humans, how it augments our abilities and helps us achieve our goals. It highlights the importance of teamwork, of finding that synergy between human and machine intelligence.
So it's not just about how smart AI is becoming, but about how well it can work alongside humans to solve problems, to create something new and innovative.
Exactly. And I think that's where the true potential of AI lies, not in replacing humans, but in augmenting our capabilities, in helping us achieve things we never thought possible. That's a future worth striving for.
It is a future where humans and AI work together to build a better world.
Hmm.
What else is grabbing your attention in the online AI sphere? Any other trends or debates that stand out?
Well, there's a lot of back and forth about the trade-offs between using powerful but complex AI frameworks like LangChain versus building AI applications from scratch using simpler tools. It's that age-old question. Do you go for convenience or customization?
Right. Each approach has its advantages and disadvantages.
Exactly. It really depends on the specific project, the skills of the developers, what they're trying to achieve. There's no one-size-fits-all solution in the world of AI.
And of course, the open source community continues to play a vital role, providing access to a wealth of resources and tools for developers of all levels.
Absolutely. The open source movement is essential for driving innovation and making AI accessible to everyone. And it's constantly evolving, with new projects and initiatives emerging all the time. DeepSeek's recent announcement about open sourcing its repositories is a prime example. It's a bold move that's sparking a lot of discussion about the future of open source AI.
It seems like we're at a pivotal moment. There's so much potential, but also a lot of uncertainty. It's going to be fascinating to see how it all unfolds.
It is, and it's important to remember that we're not just passive bystanders in this technological revolution. We have a voice, a choice in how AI shapes our world.
We have a responsibility to ensure that AI is developed and used ethically, responsibly, in a way that benefits all of humanity.
That it reflects our values and our aspirations for a better future.
Well said. We've covered a lot of ground in this second part of our deep dive. We've explored the real-world applications of AI, the challenges and opportunities it presents, and the importance of human-AI collaboration. But there's one final frontier we need to explore.
The philosophical dimension. The big questions AI raises about the nature of intelligence, consciousness, and reality itself. Questions that have puzzled philosophers for centuries and are now taking on new urgency in the age of AI.
Welcome back for the final part of our AI deep dive. We've covered the latest advancements, real-world applications, societal impacts, but now let's shift gears a bit. I want to talk about the bigger picture, the philosophical questions AI raises. This is where things get really interesting for me.
I agree. It's easy to get lost in the day-to-day developments, but it's crucial to step back and consider the deeper implications. How is AI changing how we understand things like intelligence, consciousness, even the nature of reality itself?
Exactly. I mean, we've talked about AI mimicking human reasoning, but does that mean it's actually thinking? And if a machine can create art or music that moves us emotionally, does that challenge our definition of creativity? These are questions that have been around forever, but AI is making them even more urgent.
It's like AI is holding a mirror up to us, forcing us to examine our own assumptions about what it means to be intelligent, to be conscious, to be creative. And the lines are getting blurrier all the time.
You get all these Reddit threads highlighted where people are debating whether we're on the verge of creating artificial consciousness. Is that even something we can define, let alone create?
It's a huge debate, even among the experts. Some believe consciousness emerges from complex systems, so maybe a sufficiently advanced AI could achieve it. Others say consciousness is uniquely human, tied to our biology.
So if AI were to become conscious, what would that even mean for us? Would it be like encountering another intelligent species? Would we have moral obligations towards these AI beings?
It's a mind-boggling concept for sure, and it brings up those ethical questions we've been talking about. AI bias, autonomous weapons, these are things we need to address now before the technology gets too far ahead of us.
You mentioned earlier that some people worry about AI becoming a threat to humanity. Are
Hmm.
those fears justified, or is that just science fiction hype?
I think it's important to be cautious, but not alarmist. AI, like any powerful technology, has the potential for both good and bad. It can help us solve problems, but it can also be misused. It all comes down to how we develop it, how we deploy it.
So it's not about fearing AI itself, but about being aware of the risks and taking steps to mitigate them.
Exactly. We need to guide its development, ensure it's used ethically for the benefit of all humanity.
We've talked about open source as a way to democratize AI. Are there other approaches that could help ensure a more ethical, equitable AI future?
Transparency is key. We need to understand how these systems work, how decisions are made, what data they're trained on. That way we can identify and address potential biases. And education is crucial. The more people understand about AI, the better equipped we'll be to have these important discussions, make informed decisions.
So it's not just about the experts, it's about everyone being involved, being informed.
Exactly. It's a shared responsibility.
It seems like navigating this AI-driven world will require a whole new set of skills, a new way of thinking.
Absolutely. Critical thinking, interdisciplinary collaboration, ethical awareness, these are essential for anyone working with AI.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've talked about the latest advancements, the real-world applications, the societal impacts, even the philosophical questions AI raises. But as we wrap things up, I want to bring it back to you, the listener. What are your takeaways from this conversation? What resonated with you the most?
And how will you apply what you've learned? How will you navigate this rapidly evolving AI landscape? Will you be a passive observer or will you actively shape the future of AI?
We've seen how AI has the potential to transform healthcare, revolutionize industries, even change how we understand ourselves as humans. But ultimately, the future of AI is not predetermined. It's being written right now, and we all have a role to play.
So keep exploring, keep questioning, keep engaging with the world of AI. The future is full of possibilities, both exciting and challenging, and it's up to us to make it a future worth creating.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. Until next time, keep diving deep.